The concept of recursion is defined in various ways. Let's look at some of them as examples. In philosophy, the nesting of things within things. A story within a story, comments in brackets inside comments in brackets. In computer science, an algorithm expressed in terms of itself. In mathematics, a proof that in the procedure makes use of the thesis that must house. In music, certain compositions with writings that nest in other writings such as the Bach's fugues. In art, Escher's famous paintings such as drawing hands. The question arises whether the use of recursion can be useful in teaching. The answer is yes, and we will see how. But first, a premise is needed that places a scientific basis to our proposal. In a 1972 experiment, two researchers, Bransford and Johnson, established that a picture shown before a text that talks about its contents has the ability to aggregate the parts of the text into a meaningful unit and influence its memory. In the example below, a scenario related to the Industrial Revolution is shown just before the text that goes into more detail about its contents. We know from the Bransford and Johnson experiment that this configuration facilitates the understanding of the contents and their long-term retention because it constitutes the logical anchoring pivot. This premise is the basis of our discussion, but it is not enough. We know in fact that the scenario is structured around 10 points of attention to which we have matched the 10 conceptual nodes explained in the following pages of the text. The fact that each number in the scenario corresponds to a block of text that explains it is fundamental because it creates that image-word connection that induces a recursive type of reading in which I read what I see, and I see what I read. If at first glance it is a reading modality that can be disorienting because it is non-linear, upon closer examination it reveals its main added value. It is a modality that allows you to examine the detail without losing sight of the overall vision and vice versa. But the aggregating power of the recursive ring is appreciated even more as the study progresses. The more one advances with the reading, the more a sort of spiral circuit is consolidated in which three cognitive processes feed each other thanks to the very structure of the format. Representation of meanings, repetition of the represented constructs and integration of semantic networks are facilitated by the anchoring to a system calibrated on a multilevel communication syntax. The presence of a conceptual map instead of the image scenario does not change the substance of the discussion that much. It is true that an image is worth 1,000 words, but a network-type knowledge structure can also work just as well as long as it is isomorphic to the text. That is, the concepts contained in it are exactly and exhaustively represented in the network structure shown. Each conceptual node corresponds to the relative block of text.